realize that I've been in your eyes some kind of fool. What I do, what I did, stupid fish, I drank the pool. Been doing some dying, now I'm doing some trying. So say you don't mind, you let me off this time. Came into the scene, my dreams were getting bad. And who rides with the tide, and who's glad with what it had? Been doing some whining, now I'm doing some finding. So say you don't mind, you let me off this time. To you I'm blind. Something inside.
Well, you are now here in Holland after a very successful tour in America, I understand.
Yes.
And how was it received, the Zombies?
Incredibly well.
Incredibly well.
It's been a wonderful surprise after all this time, because the Zombies were really initially working from 1964 to 1967.
Yes.
And now here we are all these years later, nearly 50 years later, and people are all around the world. They are very, very interested in the Zombies catalogue, and I think there's a little bit of a mystery about the Zombies, what happened to them, and people are very, very interested. And it's been great. We've been playing very big venues in the States, and that's our third trip to America this year.
Your third tour, because you toured around the Pacific coast, I understand.
This time we did. We started
this time,
we started in Seattle and went all the way down to Los Angeles, but then we went across country as well after that.
Okay.
So I think with the 3 tours this year, we've covered the whole of the States.
Yes, I think you did. Yeah.
Long distances.
Yeah.
It's a very, very big country.
Long driving and long traveling.
Yes.
And, okay. So, but you do like it, don't you, to tour in the States?
I like to tour everywhere. You know,
Everywhere.
I mean, it's the same with the Zombies and the same with my solo band, who I'm here with tonight. We all love to play. We're musicians, and we love to play.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's great fun. Sometimes the travelling can get a little bit difficult because it's very tiring.
Yeah. What I'm always also interested in is you are befriended with Rod Argent for a very long time.
Yes.
For 52 years now. So I was wondering, how do you maintain such a friendship and also a working relation, so to speak? But,
well, in some ways the two things go together, I think.
Yeah.
We've always been friends, and I think when we're working we try to be as professional as possible.
Okay.
And we pretty much know what each other's thinking.
Yeah,
so
okay.
After all this time, and when we're working, we're very straightforward. There's we just get it done, and it's the same with both bands. You know, it's a professional situation. You get there on time.
Yes.
You know, you get the gear on stage.
You know your
sound
lines.
check. You know your lines.
Yes.
You sound check and you do the show.
Yes.
And nowadays, at the end of the show, we try and get back to the hotel and get to bed as quickly as possible. When we were young, the evening began when the show ended.
Okay.
But that's the big difference now.
Yeah.
We have to get back and get our rest.
Because
especially
you have to be there the next day.
That's it. You know, people see you play a show one night, and sometimes they forget that you've got to do exactly the same thing the next night, and maybe with a long journey as well.
Yeah.
Do you miss the wild nights?
No?
Not now. Not now.
Okay. There's also one question attached to that, because when you play with the Zombies, Rod tells a lot of stories. So you do as well, but Rod tells a lot of stories. And for you, it must be hearing them for the umpteenth time. How do you stay focused on stage? Don't your thoughts, aren't your thoughts never going to wander away to what am I going to do the next day?
They're your thoughts can wander, not particularly when Rod's talking. I mean, it's just in general. But that's part of the job of being a professional musician, and it's true in all jobs, I think. You have to learn how to be focused.
You have to stay focused.
Yeah, you have to, and you do. Your mind does wander, and you have to bring it back.
Yeah.
You know, I do use a few tricks sometimes, and I might find not usually a face in the audience, but something in some point that will bring me back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I often do that. It's very often it's a different word in Holland, but in America and England, they have a word exit. And that's the way to get out of the arena.
Yeah.
And often I find myself looking at that just to
to
concentrate
have some
for a
concentration
minute.
points.
Yes,
to
but
have your
in
mind.
Holland I'll find something else to just look at. You know.
I think it's uitgang.
Yes.
No, we have an exit sign as well. And it's mostly lighted because you have to see it.
See, that's
I
it.
mean,
so it's a good
the
thing
audience is a
to
dark,
focus on. But I mean, and also it's not just people talking, but it's the songs in general. Some of these songs I've been singing for 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
But I think I'm really lucky in that the Zombies catalogue, they all sound as fresh today as they did when they were first recorded. They're good fun songs to sing, they really are.
Yes.
And some of them are quite demanding too. So it's not as if you can do them when you're half asleep.
No.
You know, you've got to really
I
concentrate.
believe that. You have to be concentrated.
Yeah. If any, thinking about a man's voice, if any young man wants to try and sing along, you'll find it's very high.
It's very high.
The things that we do, and it's quite demanding.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why I always do a warm up, even before sound check. I do a warm up, and a vocal warm up, and then I do a vocal warm up before the show as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's half an hour each time. So I've done an hour's warm up before we start the show.
Right. I see. And that's also something I thought about. Your voice is your instrument. Your body is your instrument. It's quite vulnerable because you had a cold, I believe.
I know.
And don't you never think? I wish I played just a guitar or piano, or instead of.
No, what I wish something slightly
voice.
different. I wish people would just remember that if they've got a cold, it's probably best to stay away from a professional singer.
Okay.
And it happens time and time again. But I know it's easy to forget, and I try to be aware.
Yes,
if I can see someone's got a cold, I try to keep my distance.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Because I had 3 colds, one after the other,
Yeah.
at the end of last year and through to the beginning of this year. And I know exactly when I got them.
Okay.
I know when it was.
When it started and.
And I know who gave
by
them.
whom.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now a doctor would say, you can't be sure.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
You're pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to be careful because in Holland at the end of last year, I had to cancel a tour.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
well, maybe there was one other time in 50 years I had to do that.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare because if I have a cold, I can
You
sing
just
through it.
take care of
But in November, I had laryngitis, and you have to rest for 6 weeks.
Yes. You
4
just
to 6 weeks.
not allowed to speak or.
No, you can't.
No.
There's nothing you can do.
You cannot. You have to sit it out.
And sometimes people said to me, I'm really glad you weren't brave and didn't go out there and try to sing.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is with laryngitis, you don't have any voice.
No.
You
It's just
can't-
gone.
Yeah. There's no point. You would just stand there and there'd be silence.
That's also a psychic stress. I think it's stressful.
It is stressful,
Yeah. Because that's your capital. So to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, it's my instrument.
It's your instrument.
And to have to sing with a sore throat or to try and sing with a cold, it's very difficult and it's very stressful.
Yes.
Because it's hard enough to do it when you're fit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's challenging maybe rather than hard. It's challenging. You know, you have to really concentrate and you have to really practice. And then you have to try and make it look easy.
Yeah.
It looks easy.
Yeah.
It looks like it's very easy.
Yeah.
But
That's
we
how
know
it's
it.
meant to look.
Yeah.
That's how it's meant to
Yeah.
look. Yeah.
Well, we were surprised as fans and supporters about you did a new video.
In America.
In America, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Toya, my assistant, was very excited and curious about how it came about.
Well, it was totally because of our agents in America, called TCI, and it was their idea to film a video, and it can be a very, very expensive thing to do, and they managed the whole situation very well. It's something probably Rod and I would have been too full of fear to undertake, but they did everything and made it very easy for us. We just turned up and sang the song. So it was their idea, and I think it's a great idea to do it. But especially for us to try and arrange it in America, it would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, because you live in Britain. Yeah.
Yeah, even in the UK it would be difficult to do.
Yeah.
But they took care of everything, and I think it's been a great success.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Yeah, great video.
We watched it and with actors and.
Absolutely.
It's
I mean, it's a huge undertaking, you know. I mean, I don't want to just talk about how much something like that costs, but it is a factor that it costs a lot of money. Yeah. But it's just a huge undertaking to get something like that completed. There's a lot of work goes into it.
Okay.
A whole team of people worked on that, and of course we're very grateful that they did.
Yeah. And do you have plans for other videos or clips or?
Well, I don't know. I think possibly the next thing is a new album.
Yeah.
We've recorded one track, and we're rehearsing a second track for a new album. But an album, as well as a video, is a big undertaking.
Yeah.
And I personally don't think the album will be ready until early 2015.
Yes. Well, I don't find that strange because it's a long process of writing and recording.
It has to be written
and you have to be in Britain instead of on the road.
Well, this is another thing. The subject did come up about, and when your new album's ready, you know, in early 2014, and we said, look, hold on a second, we're working the whole time.
Yeah.
We can't record and work. So I think next year we will concentrate on getting this album finished.
Yes.
And in the UK, they like a 3-month run-up to release date because the major publications, Mojo, Q, and the other ones, they need 3 months.
Okay.
So if
you do an interview, they need to know 3 months before.
And especially for the reviews as well.
Yes.
So you have to have a finished album 3 months before it's released. If it comes out in January, we have to have it finished at the beginning of October.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it isn't you don't finish an album one day and it's in the shops the next day.
No.
There has to be a
sort
period
of publication
of
period.
Yeah, it's
and journalists will have to
marketing,
take time. Marketing
and promotion.
Yes, yeah.
It takes time.
Yes.
So we'll do our best anyway to have it finished by the end of next year, and then it will be ready to be released in 2015.
Yeah, 15. Yeah. Well, that's great news actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You have also you have worked with the Zombies now from 2000, from the year 2000. The Zombies split up in 1967. I wonder, it's a little bit a what-if question, but hasn't it been a sort of blessing in disguise for your solo career? Because if the Zombies would have existed, then you wouldn't have the opportunity to give much attention to your solo career.
Well, that's right. If the Zombies had kept going, I wouldn't have had a solo career at all.
At all.
So, in a way, you just have to improvise on what the situation is.
Yes.
And now I've sort of reactivated, well, the Zombies and my solo career.
Yes.
It has to be thought out very carefully.
Yes.
For instance, next year in 2014, we have to be really careful that we keep the two careers separate.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. But I enjoy doing both things. They're very different, and they're almost totally different bands. Just Tom Toomey, the guitarist, in the Zombies is in the solo band as well. Otherwise, they're different.
Yeah, it's a
different musicians, and it's nearly all different songs.
Yes. Yes.
I only do 2 Zombie songs. She's Not There in Time of the Season.
Yes.
And that's fine. You know, I do all solo things otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. In America, you did storyteller shows. We in Holland, we got very jealous. It's a show with just you and Rod.
Yes.
And you tell stories about about the music business and so on. Is there any chance you might do those shows in Europe?
Well, I think if we're asked, I mean, to a large degree, where we play and what we do is a matter of us being invited.
Being invited,
you know,
right.
people will say, "Why don't you ever play in a specific town?" And the answer is, we've never been asked. Yeah. And I mean, by that, it's a promoter makes a professional offer, and then we consider it, or our agent considers it, and hopefully we go. If somebody were to ask us, and I know we're going on the Moody Blues cruise next year, and they've asked us to do 2 storyteller shows rather than 1.
Yes.
And so we will.
So I think people like it.
Well, I hope so. We did one in New York just now, a few weeks ago, and I have to say it's totally unrehearsed.
Yeah.
Before we go on stage, we don't really know what we're going to do.
You don't rehearse.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know how you can rehearse something like that.
No, you
because
can't.
It has to be spontaneous.
It has to be, otherwise it would be too mechanical. Yeah.
It's the same when I tell stories on stage. I mean, last night we played with the solo band, and I told some stories. None of the band had ever heard them.
Oh.
And I just thought of them during the show.
Okay.
Now, now I've thought of them, I might repeat them tonight. I don't know, because otherwise I'm singing songs and I'm trying to think of stories.
Yeah.
And it gets a bit complicated. I don't like to repeat them too much. I mean, there's 1 or 2 I do repeat. Because they make people laugh, you know. So.
Yeah, you're a great storyteller. Yeah. I'm thinking about the technician with the heavy lunch.
Right.
That's a famous story. But
yes.
Let's see. I was thinking about how you write songs yourself, and you also choose songs to sing. But when you write yourself, do you do it by guitar?
Yes, I do it by guitar, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a sort of a mysterious process, I think. Well, for me it is, in that I just play guitar, perhaps for hours on end, and sometimes a little.
Okay.
And I don't know where it comes from.
No.
There are different ways. I mean, a lot of professional writers, I know people who write from 9 till 5, in the same way that people go to an office. And I admire them. It doesn't work that way for me.
No.
And when I'm playing, I might get a little idea on the guitar, or I might get a title, or a phrase, just something that I can build a song on. And usually it takes weeks or months for the whole song to be finished.
Yeah.
Just very occasionally it will come quickly.
Yeah, but most of the time it takes a long time.
There's a song called I Want Some More that we play now, and I wrote it a long time ago, and that was written very, very quickly. Almost in the time it takes to sing the song.
Oh.
I wrote it. And then there are other songs that take months to write.
But usually you start with the chords or the melody, and then afterwards the lines, the lyrics. Or is it dependable for what
it can
kind
be
of song
either.
it is?
You have to.
Can be both.
You just have to find something. But it can be words, a title, or a little bit of music.
Is it also something that's happening in your life that you think
can
of?
Can be, or
something you read, or something.
Yeah, with me usually it's something that's happened to me, but very often it's in the past now, because remember, at the end of the show, we go to bed, so nothing happens. And it makes a bit of a dull...
Totally boring.
It makes a bit of a dull song. So I have to remember what used to happen years ago.
Yeah, but that's
and a lot of my songs are from memory, distant memory.
Yeah, yeah, that's no problem. I also was curious about how you record. You have two bands, you have the Zombies and your solo band, but let's talk about Zombies. So how you get into the studio and you start to record, and you already have the lyrics and the chords, or do you also start in the studio by building up a song?
No, the songs are finished by the time we get into the studio.
You have the demos, so to speak. And
yes, the songs are finished, and with the Zombies, more and more we're trying to play as live as we can. All the guys are in the studio together, because very often now records are made with one person at a time.
Yes.
And then you build the track up with one person at a time. But with the Zombies, we try and have all the guys there at the same time and they play live.
Oh, right.
And then I might sing with them, but I'll probably do my vocal again later. And we'll do 5 or 6 takes.
5 or 6 takes.
And then we take the best bits.
I don't think that's that's not many.
No, not really.
No.
I mean, there have been times in my life when I've done many more than that.
Yeah.
But now we generally take 5 or 6. And with the solo band, it's quite similar. I like to record in as live a situation as possible.
Yeah.
And on the last album, which is called On the Air Tonight, most of the vocals are live. I sang with the band, and we kept them.
Yeah. I think that gives a fresh feeling when you listen to it.
In some ways, it's easier for me. I like to sing with the band.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the technical side of it that can get complicated, because you have to have separation between the band and the vocal.
Okay.
Otherwise, you will hear drums.
Yeah, you will hear more drums
on the vocal, so
vocal.
you can't turn the vocal up without turning the drums up.
Yes.
So you have to work in a studio where you can get separation. I mean, people may well be able to hear drums on this track now because the guys are just starting to sound check. And that's a good example of where the drums are spilling over.
Yes. Yeah, that's
unfortunately.
That's unfortunately. We are very happy that you will spend some time with us. Yeah. You have playing in the Netherlands for a long time. I think from about starting the early 70s.
Well, as a solo artist, yes, but I was thinking about it yesterday. The Zombies came to Holland as well in the 60s.
Yes.
I think we only played a couple of dates here, and I don't really remember any details about it. But I do remember as a solo artist coming here.
Okay.
With my first album, first of all, I remember coming over and doing radio promotion.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on I had a band, and we played at places like the Paradiso in Amsterdam. And we played all over the country. I really enjoyed it. I love it. I love coming here because I like the people and I like the venues, and I think people are very interested in music in Holland, and it helps us. It lifts us because the audiences are so enthusiastic.
Yes.
I like the food here as well. It's great.
What's your favorite food?
Oh, I like everything.
Okay.
I like everything. For the last few months, I haven't eaten any meat since Christmas last year, and in America, I started eating meat again. So, I was eating fish, but I wasn't eating meat. But now I eat anything. Yeah.
And do you know the typical Dutch food?
Well,
like fries and mayonnaise.
No, I don't particularly like mayonnaise on fries, so that would be one thing I would probably do differently.
Okay.
And boerenkool, maybe?
I know, I don't know what that is.
It's cabbage.
Cabbage?
Green cabbage.
Circle.
Well, I like cabbage, but I've never had it as a main dish. I mean, we just eat what's put in front of us, you know. I mean, they're going to feed us here at the concert, and we just eat what's put in front of us. But, I mean, one thing for me is that I can't eat near to the showtime.
No.
And people will often, they'll give us a meal half an hour before we start.
No.
So I can't eat. I might have it just a little bit. But it's really difficult. I would say to anyone who wants to be a singer, don't eat right before you start singing. No. It's painful. It's really, it hurts, you know. And anyway, it makes singing very difficult.
I also read about opera singers.
Yes.
That they put on weight because they always eat after the show. And it's not really good to eat so late.
No.
But they can't eat before.
I know.
Yeah.
So a lot of performers do eat after
Late.
the show. In America, we always had 3 huge pizzas, this big, arrive after the show.
Oh, okay.
So,
Because but I remember you wrote one time. We've been a long time in the States, and now I'm very long to eat British food.
well, I do like home cooking.
Home cooking.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I really look forward to that.
Oh.
But no, I do enjoy the Dutch food that we have here. But I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's very, what I have is very plain cooking. It's nothing very out of the ordinary.
Are there any differences between the Dutch people and British?
Well, I think they're very similar, actually.
Similar?
I think they're very similar.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to sound a bit bizarre.
You may be impolite if you.
No. No, I think Dutch people are very similar. I think, in general, they might be a bit more polite than the English, and so perhaps we have to be careful how we ask for things or how we say things. The English used to be like that. I remember as a child, I would say, in a shop, I would say, "Excuse me, if it's not too much trouble, I wonder if..." Nowadays, the person's gone. By the time you get to there, they've lost interest in you. And you have to say, "Can I have that?"
Okay.
That's the way you do things now. But I like the more polite way of doing things. But I think the Dutch are very similar to the British. And and maybe the Scandinavians are similar as well. But I don't say this in every country I go to. I think they're very similar. One thing I do notice I really like in Holland, and this is going to sound a bit strange, but I like the architecture. And I've worked out what it is that's different to English architecture. It's really important. The windows are bigger in your buildings. We have much smaller windows. And it makes the buildings look much more attractive from the outside. Yeah. And inside you get much more light. And I can only think that building restrictions and laws must be different here to what they are in Britain. Because it's a really big difference. I love the architecture here.
Yeah, that
It's
might
great,
be
modern and old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the reason is.
I think it must be just laws,
or regulations or something.
Also, I tell you what, even in the smallest houses in Holland, if people have a little garden, they look after it. It's really nice, and that's how I remember England when I was young.
All right.
But I don't think it's so true now. People don't take the pride in their gardens.
Although
and their
Britain
houses.
is famous for gardening.
Well,
there
are. Of course, there are beautiful gardens there, and there are beautiful houses.
Like Kew
but
Gardens,
I mean, in general, I live very near to Kew Gardens.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
I've
wonderful
visited
place.
it once, long time ago.
It's lovely.
It's a lovely area. Yes.
Very peaceful.
Yes, very peaceful.
I live quite close to there.
Okay.
Misschien kan je een gebouw noemen die je mooi vindt van een architect.
She's talking Dutch now.
Sorry.
Even I knew that.
But she wonders whether you can name a building in Dutch architecture that you very much like, or
No, I'm not sure I can. It's a general feeling, and I often say it when we're in the truck. I'll say, and it can be a really small little town, but it looks just lovely. It looks beautiful. See, people, I think sometimes I've heard people say, well, Holland, it's, I don't want to go there, it's boring because it's flat.
Yeah.
And I'll always say to them, you should go there because it's really beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, the big cities are beautiful. Amsterdam's breathtaking. We spend a lot of time in Haarlem, and I think Haarlem's beautiful. It was our first night last night in Haarlem, and so I really look forward to getting up this morning and going for a walk. It's not a big town.
Oh, that's where you stay, right?
Yeah, usually we stay there.
And then you travel around Holland.
Because Holland's quite small, it's easier to stay in one place and travel out all the time, whereas in America you can't do that.
No.
Even in England, we don't do that. It's just in Holland we do it.
Yeah.
And it means we don't have to keep packing our suitcase every night.
Yes.
Because we stay in one place.
Yes.
So I was walking around Harlem this morning, and it's beautiful.
It's a very nice town, and with nice museums.
Yes.
And
and I've been to the Frans Hal Museum is there, and there are a couple of other museums. But my memory is not very good.
Rijksmuseum? Right?
In Haarlem.
On Haarlem.
No, not it. Yeah, that's in Amsterdam, isn't it?
You have,
And in Harlem there are a couple of other museums, and I've been there.
Do you like the art from the Dutch artists?
Yes, well, I love art. It's something I would have liked to have done. When I was leaving school, I said to my father, I'd like to go to art school, and I had the exams in art. And my father said to me, at art school, all the boys do there is drink beer and chase girls.
Okay.
And I thought that sounded wonderful.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But he didn't think it was a good idea.
Didn't think it was a good idea.
So I would have loved to have gone to art school.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
But what did you do then instead? You
Well,
just went.
I just got a job in an office. Yeah.
Oh, right.
I've done that twice. Once when I left school,
Yeah.
and both times I just phoned up what we would call an employment agency,
Yes.
a place that finds you jobs, and I just
Uitzendbureau.
Oh, yeah.
yes, and I just said I just left school. I was 18, and I said I'd like a job.
Okay.
And they got me a job in an office. But at the same time, we was playing with the Zombies.
Yes.
And towards the end of that year, we won a very big rock and roll competition. And then we got a record deal with Decca, and then I left my job.
And then you left your job. Yeah.
But at the end of the Zombies, again, I thought that was the end of the music business for me. And I got a job again, just in an office, for nearly a year. And then I started making records again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fun. I mean, in a way, it's quite
flexible.
a
Actually, that's pretty flexible.
Yeah, I think it's quite nice to have a break like that. I didn't choose to do it.
No.
But in a way, I think it did me good, especially at the end of the Zombies, because I was very disappointed and sad when the Zombies finished. But I went and worked in a very busy office, a big office in the centre of London, and I didn't have time to think.
No.
And it kept me very, very busy.
Yes.
And it helped me get over that sad period.
Yeah, I think that's great. If you just get your mind to think about something else, then the split up for a very nice band. Yeah, yeah. I was wondering, we got in touch by social media, like Facebook and so on. But what are your general thoughts about social media? Do you like being on Facebook and on internet, or do you think it's necessary?
I think it's necessary if you're in the music business.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't in the music business, I probably wouldn't be on Facebook. To be honest, I think it's for the younger generation really. I'm not very good on computers.
No.
And to just be on Facebook, that's as much as I can do.
As much as you can.
Yeah. I can do emails, and that's about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And no, if I wasn't in this business, I probably wouldn't be on Facebook. But I mean, it is good because you re-meet old friends, and in that respect, it's good. And you meet new friends as well. And of course, professionally, I can tell people what the Zombies are doing and what I'm doing.
Yes.
So I think it's very good in that respect.
Yes.
I quite enjoy it, but it can be very time consuming because I do it. Someone else doesn't do it for me.
Mm-hmm. No, you do it yourself.
My
you don't
personal
have an
one.
assistant.
I don't do the Zombies one.
No, you don't do the Zombies one.
No, but I do my own one.
Yes, yes. You have a page and a personal.
Yeah, I have. There's a fan page and a personal page.
You do them both.
Yes, and also I'm quite active in. There's another fan page which is a private one. I don't know if either of you are members, but there are only about 200 members, and you have to be accepted on that page.
Yeah, I think we're on that. Yeah.
Is that the Colin Blunstone fans group
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Facebook? Oh, yeah.
I watched that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So, I mean, that's sometimes I think I get up in the morning and I look at all the Facebook pages and I answer the questions, and then I go to bed. It's taken all day.
Yeah, it's
Remember,
time
no, I
consuming.
type like this.
Yeah.
It's time consuming, but
very...
I do quite enjoy it. And I don't want to sound like a spoilsport, but at this time in my life, if I wasn't in the music business, I doubt very much if I would do it. I think it's a young person's thing, really.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. No. But I must admit that I'm following pages mostly related to music. So not because, for instance, on Monday we saw your colleague Peter Gabriel in Ziggo Dome, which was a fantastic concert. But he has a very active page, Facebook page, and I don't think he can do it himself. But it's a great way to be updated.
Yeah, it's a good way to communicate with people.
To communicate
yeah,
and
yeah. I think the time could come when I can't do it myself, because there's a website as well, and there are a lot of other things. I mean, both Rod and I are very involved in the business side of what we do.
Yes.
And there's a lot of other things to do. And when I talk to people about either band, they'll often say, well, why don't you get someone else to do that?
Yes.
But it's often the best way to do it is to do it yourself.
Because you keep on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, both Rod and I are very involved in all aspects of the Zombies. And with my solo band, I'm very involved in we have two record companies. The Zombies have a record company.
Yes.
So we have to stay on top of promotion and marketing, the recording, the artwork. And I have a record company for myself.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's good to keep it separated.
Oh yes, yeah. We try and keep it as separate as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is what I wanted to ask you.
You've run out of questions.
Well,
you have to admit it.
Maybe you won't tell us something.
No, I've run out of answers. No, it was great. I know what the questions are going to be before
You've
people
done
say
it before,
them. But
I think.
yes, but a lot of those questions I haven't been asked before, so that was great.
Okay.
I sometimes say to people, look, I'll just give the answers, and you can put the questions in later on because I know what people are going to say. I'm not being rude. Hopefully that's it's meant to be mildly humorous, But people do tend to ask the same questions.
Yeah, I think also with that, I listened to that radio, with the 2-hour radio show. No, I like that one because it went more in depth. So, and but I also listened to a couple of interviews and I thought, I know it all. But I also think that the journalist is willing to show his listeners about who the Zombies are. It's a sort of interview for beginners. So that is what I think of it, because sometimes you have to answer all these same questions again. Then I think, where do they get the patience for doing that?
Makes you tired.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the thing
but
is
that's also a part of your professionalism.
Yes, of course. There are times
to...
when the interviews can be the same questions, but it's part of the job. It is part of the job, and you get on with it,
Yeah.
But there we are. Come and see us in Holland. Come and see us play, or come and see us in the UK or in America, because the two good bands well worth coming out to see.
Yeah.
And so I say, goodbye.
Something